Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, all eyes turn towards Trevor Lawrence, the presumptive and eventual #1 overall pick. He's going to be great, but Urban Meyer is not trying to rush anything with this star pupil. In a recent interview with USA Today, here's what Meyer had to say about Lawrence's readiness for Week 1. He's not ready yet. He doesn't have to be ready yet. Adding later, we started installing the playbook with him well before the draft. So you can see the retention. He's got a really good work ethic, and he's progressed really well. All right, Kimberly, head over to you to talk about a little bit more from what we heard from Urban Meyer. What do you take away from his comments regarding Trevor Lawrence?
Field, I don't want to put any stock into anything that Urban Meyer or Brian Schottenheimer, for that matter, are saying in May, June, or July. Just get me to Week 1, because that's when we'll see how ready Trevor Lawrence is. Here's the reality. Every rookie NFL QB is going to have to deal with a learning curve. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, all of them. So Trevor Lawrence is no exception. But here's what we also know. Urban Meyer was a great college head coach. He didn't have to come to the NFL. Why did he come to the NFL and go to Jacksonville of all places? Trevor Lawrence. So there's no doubt, despite what anybody says between now and Week 1, there's no doubt that Trevor Lawrence is the future. He is their guy. He is their starter. And Urban Meyer would still be at Fox in a booth at the desk, just like you right now, if he didn't believe that Trevor Lawrence could be that guy. So I think all is well in Jacksonville.
So I don't want to risk the wrath of Mina Kimes by noting that wins are not a quarterback's. I can't even try to get what I'm trying to say. Wins are not a quarterback stat. But the point I was trying to make is that the last time a rookie quarterback led his team to a winning record was all the way back in 2012, and that was Andrew Luck. I was so nervous about Mina getting mad at me that I almost fumbled over my words 8 times. Now we'll get back to Mina and another rookie that got a lot of attention from teammates during his minicamp. This is from our ESPN.com Ravens reporter, Jamison Hensley. The headline is, "Wiggle While You Work." Rashad Bateman is turning heads with the Ravens. Mina, with that in mind, let's see you wiping your hands together. Give us your 5 most important rookies that are not quarterbacks for 2021.
Here we go.
Yeah, so important is the key word here, because what I'm doing is identifying the rookies who I think matter the most to their teams, have to come in and make an impact from day one. So I've got a list for you, prepared to incur the wrath of people whenever we make a list. The names that I have in mind, first, Rashad Bateman, who you alluded to with that article. You guys know how much I loved him as a prospect. I particularly love him for the Baltimore offense, because when you look at this passing attack and why they struggled last year, a number of things jump out. But the most important factor was the absence of a #1 true X wide receiver who can win outside. And those outside the numbers, that is open in this offense because of the threat on the run. I believe is that guy, and he can impact this offense from the jump. Second, I went with Devontae Smith. Just because this Eagles wide receiver group is so thin behind him, he has to step in immediately and make an impact from day one and be the guy. You know, Jalen Reagor, they drafted last year, struggled a bit as a rookie. I think he should be helped by the presence of Devontae Smith, but make no mistake, Devontae Smith is the #1 wide receiver already in this offense, which is asking a lot for the Rook. Number 3, I'm going to an offensive lineman. Rashawn Slater, I love this pick for LA. Left tackle out of Northwestern, super pro ready, polished, fell into their last, but I especially love it for this team and for rookie quarterback Justin Herbert. This is an offensive line that struggled for a while, frankly, but really struggled last year. They made a number of additions, signing Corey Lindsey, Brian Bulaga comes back, Rashawn Slater, day 1 starting left tackle. On to the Giants. I really like this defense. We're going to talk about them a lot in the offseason. I love the secondary. I love the coach. The one hole they have, in my opinion, is edge rusher. They have made some signings. They gave Leonard Williams a big contract to give them an interior pass rush. But I wouldn't be surprised if Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher out of Georgia, has to come in and from the beginning of the season be an important piece on this defense in that front 7. Finally, last player, Kyle Pitts. Look, he is the best player out of the group. But the only reason I wouldn't say he's the most important is because they still have Calvin Ridley, who I do think is #1 wide receiver. However, with Julio Jones out of this offense, Kyle Pitts is going to become a focus, which is actually a lot of a tight end, because tight ends often have a bit of an adjustment period to the NFL. Best weapon in the incredible piece for Arthur Smith to play with. I'm so excited to see what he does in this offense.
I love this list. Mina, this list is like when I make a food list and turn it into a tweet and send it out. Like, it's perfect, right? It's absolutely what I'm saying. I want to hit on a couple guys. I really want people to understand like how important the impact of Rashad Bateman can be on this Ravens offense. Because it's a really good offense without him, right? But think about Lamar Jackson having a #1 receiver on the outside now that, hey, 3rd and 7, I could throw the ball to him. And then think about what it's going to do for Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown can live a little bit more on the inside. And then think of what it's going to do for Mark Andrews, who's already great in their run game. So, like, if he could have a Justin Jefferson type of year, not that great because Jefferson's special, but that great, the impact of their offense. And I've said all offseason, don't mistake Justin Herbert's performance last year thinking the offensive line was good. It was atrocious. But imagine if Rashawn Slater can become the next Ryan Ramczyk, who just got a bunch of money today. Like, what he's going to do when you have an offensive line and a superstar quarterback, not only this year, because if he plays good this year, if he's Tristan Wirfs type of impact this year, this is a playoff football team. Like, this is a bona fide playoff football team because of that offense. I love the Ojulari thing because Patrick Graham, the Giants defensive coordinator, he can now take Ojulari and Leonard Williams and be like, okay, what pieces do we move on the offensive line to create these one-on-ones? So I love the list. 3 names that I wanted on the list, though. I think Kadarius Toney's just as big for the Giants as Ojulari. Like, can he go be Percy Harvin? Just because his playmaking ability. We know that Daniel Jones needs somebody that, if you could get the ball to him 12 times a game, I don't care if it's a pass, a jet sweep, push the ball downfield, that's a huge one. I also think Greg Newsome from Cleveland, and then Rondale Moore for Arizona, another guy who just needs touches. Those 3 names, I think, are just as important as those 5 you threw on your list.
For those unfamiliar with Dan's Twitter list, by the way, my 5-year-old nephew has a more refined palate when it comes to food than Dan. But that's neither here nor there.
Like
just go follow
chips, huh?
Dan Orlovsky.
You like potato chips. They're disgusting.
Come on, Dan.
Everybody likes potato chips, but you, Dan.
It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I suppose that's neither here
because I like the way food tastes.
Nor there. Yeah, come on now. No Michelin stores coming your way. All right, so we just talked about Kyle Pitts. He's guaranteed with his money. But George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Darren Waller, they're not paid as much compared to the top receivers in the league. Is one position more valuable than the other? We debate that next on NFL Live.
Potato chips are
just
gross.
a little seasoning, Dan.
They're not, Dan.